This is Industrial Edge, a podcast where we discuss the cutting edge world of factory automation and the technologies shaping the future of the industry.
My name is Lacey Chandler. I'm sitting here with Sean Chandler at the 2024 Almond Board Conference in Sacramento at the Safe Credit Union Conference Center.
Hi, Lacey. My name is Sean Chandler. I am co-owner of Chandler Automation.
What's your title at that company?
Oh, my title.
The company you own.
I guess I'm the CEO. I prefer to call myself a mascot.
Besides be the mascot?
I'm mascot.
What do you actually do all day?
Oh my God. I'm going to make it sound like I'm complaining, but I'm not complaining. I do a lot of work. I wake up, I juggle home life when I can, and I hit the road and I start driving and I start calling and checking emails. Highway Patrol's not getting this, right? Just so you know. Lots of texting, lots of calls, typically with vendors in the East Coast saying good morning, looking for any potential issues that may have come up or potential opportunities that may have come up. I call you and Oak while you're taking them to school, say good morning. I call my son and say good morning, Tavin. Got to have the family life balance in there. So you must do that. If you don't do that, quit working, stay at home. Your kids and family should know you love them. And then I start strategizing on how I'm going to tackle the things that are on my plate for that day, for the week, possibly for the month. Trade shows, travel to vendors, customers, employees. Oh yeah, there's the employees. I forgot about them. I shouldn't, because they're what make us go round. Make sure the employees are happy, because without them, we don't have this. So yeah, I just try and, usually my morning is just checking in with people and making everything as comfortable for them as possible. That's kind of how I start my day.
So what does Chandler Automation do?
Wow, how I would summarize what we do, besides repeating our long mission statement, is that we do sorting, processing, packaging, and automation for predominantly the tree nut market, but now also dabbling into other markets. And we can sell you a piece of the equipment, or we can sell you an entire line. We're happy to work with equipment that you recommend. We prefer our vendors, of course, but if you do have other equipment in your line that isn't represented by us, we would go ahead and integrate that in there for you as well, because we do know you have relationships, or our customers have relationships with other people. It's not my job to tear those relationships apart. It's actually my job to enhance those relationships, because I also believe that our competition, some of them out there, have great representation, whether it's direct or through a representative, and they have long-term history with really good relationships with those particular customer salespeople or service people. And so I don't really want to ruin that relationship. I want to enhance it. So we're happy to work with other vendors and make it right for the customer, because at the end of the day, it's really, satisfying the customer.
You said the word line. What does that mean?
A processing line is typically a full turnkey solution, is what I reference to a line. It would start with an in-feed process and end with an out-feed process, whether that's into bulk bins or super sacks or boxes or into some other transportation device to get it to an endpoint. Also ends with palletizing, potentially. But again, getting it to a stage where you can transfer that output to an endpoint somewhere.
You said the word integration. What does that mean?
You may have what we call modular operations or modular processing operations, meaning you have like one area where you do a certain part of the product, another area where you try and differentiate what you did over there in a different part of the product. And then maybe you might do some packaging in another space, and then you might do some stacking in another place, and then you have to transport it to another place to put it all together. And integrating that would be bringing each of those individual cells together to make sure that they flow as one process, so that you minimize your touches, you minimize the handling, you minimize the time, minimize any of the potential risks that you might create by having to have all of these movements, because our customers are constantly being, I guess, scrutinized by their end users about the type of quality that they're putting out. And it's always quality. It's never quantity. You always have a QA person. You don't have a quantity person, right? Like everyone wants to run as fast as they can. But if they're not putting out the quality, how can they get that quality output that they're looking for? And I think it has to do with putting this quote unquote line together synergistically to operate such way.
What type of risks is a customer trying to mitigate, and how does the equipment that you offer offset that?
First of all, so when we talk risk, there's a lot of risks, right? There's employee risks, right? Injuries. I'm talking specifically of quality product output that you're going to consume, or an RT, a ready-to-eat product, right? Or a ready-to-further process product. Those are the loads I'm talking about getting denied. But how would this help? But when you minimize or minimize the movement, there's a lot of things from a quality perspective there, right? There's the whole efficiency thing, first of all. So, if you have a forklift moving around your factory quite a bit, you have more of a chance of having that forklift hit something, because that's never happened to anybody. No one's forklift drivers ever screwed up and hit anything. Or hitting equipment, or potentially breaking down, creating a hazard within the facility.
So it sounds like there's a lot of safety risks.
There's a lot of safety risks with most of it. When I talk quality, I'm talking the actual product output. And so I'll respond to that first on the quality output. Our machines are, in my opinion, state-of-the-art equipment. They're always being pushed to the limit by their engineering team. A lot of research and development on our equipment. We have meetings, even as a vendor that we are. We have meetings with these guys because they're asking us what our customers are wanting. So again, it's minimizing the potential risk for serious damage. And it doesn't matter what kind of tree nut it is. And what I mean by serious damage, we reference that as like bug chew, or maybe a pinhole created by a beetle or what have you, that could potentially turn in what everyone worries about is getting some bacterial growth in there, right? When you do this in line and you have less movement with that, you mitigate any risk of things potentially falling off the roof, or something being kicked up from the ground or off of a deck, like a mezzanine, and getting into the product. Moisture. There's different humidity in some of these rooms than others. Some people are processing on one side of the wall a wet process, which is not good for a dry process. So when you're moving things around, it's harder to keep track of where things have come from. And I don't care what kind of system you have in place, potentially you could damage your product. And damage is, again, one of those big words. Like, what do you mean by damage? Well, then there's other things in the process, right? By moving it so many times, you could create chip and scratch. You can get products rubbing together, which deteriorate the skins on the tree nuts. There's a lot of things involved with how that product's being moved. And going back to the innovation that we have, we're able to use gentle handling processes through all of our systems. We can regulate how fast at what transfers things are moving by using shaker decks to transfer cable vays, chain vays, bucket elevators. It doesn't matter what you use to move it. We can minimize those risks by actually moving it, touching it less with more of the equipment, if that makes sense. Maybe that sounds like an oxymoron. I don't think so, but you want to touch it more with less equipment, or touch it less with more equipment. You could go either way. But by putting it together, you minimize that chance for it to be, to leave your facility with any potential hazards, if that makes sense. Whether there's FM in there, or there's serious damage in there, or whatever it may be.
What is FM?
Is foreign material.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a rock, a stick, a stone, piece of glass, paper clip, could be a nut, a bolt, anything what we call foreign material is something hazardous other than the product itself. When I go to pop that almond in my mouth, or that walnut, or that pistachio, or whatever it may be, when I go to pop it in my mouth, I want to make sure that there's nothing inside that BB or inside that nut, like a BB or something else. So that's FM. It's foreign material, foreign to that product.
So you said earlier that your vendors come to you to ask what your customers want. What have you been hearing that your customers want recently?
I think at the end of the day, it's a competitive priced product that is going to deliver what you say it would do. They're okay with paying a premium as long as they get a premium output, but they're not okay with paying a premium and getting a minimum output, and not just with the machine itself, whatever machine you choose, but it has to do with service as well, because what comes with that price is service. And the only thing that makes those machines run as good as they do are the service people. And you can have the best piece of equipment in the world, and without the right operator, you just bought yourself a big paperweight, and an expensive one. So it's our job as vendors to go out and ask customers what they need, and what they really need is for people to deliver that to them, a product that, like I said, I really feel this, that they're willing to pay a premium as long as they get a premium output. But what they're really wanting is that product to do what you said it was going to do. And if it doesn't, you've just created a ton of instability in that relationship. You've thrown all your trust out the window. And so when we talk about these things with our vendors, we make sure that that's the message we get across. All of our vendors, like what we offer, will back us. If we say a product will do something, it will damn well do it. And if it doesn't do it, I want a chance to fix it. Then I want a chance to replace it. And at that point, if it doesn't do what we say it's going to do, we'll buy it back. And I don't think there's many people in this industry that will say that. Call me a cowboy. Call me what the hell you want to call me. I don't really care. At the end of the day, my customer is risking his job, his career, his company's potential clients, all those employees, right? They're buying more than piece of equipment from us. They're buying a personal touch. And that personal touch is that we care, because at the end of the day, we care for them. They don't want us out of business, and we don't want them out of business. That doesn't do anybody good. Doesn't do the industry good. Doesn't do the customer good. Doesn't do their family members good. People have to eat based on these decisions they're making. And I'm happy that we've been able to make a lot of people eat. Not just our customers, but our employees as well, because we live by that standard. It's a very high standard that we set here.
Earlier, you mentioned service quite a bit. Can you explain what you mean by service?
I think service is more than just some guy with a bag of wrenches who shows up and touches buttons and tightens bolts. Service to me is building a relationship, not at just my level, but at all levels. Some of the most important people in the factory are the ones that speak the least, or you see the least. Those are the people that are in the trenches. Those are the people that are fighting the day-to-day challenges of different products incoming. Those are the people that are challenged with the struggles of the machine's operation capability. If something breaks down, they're there. I feel like service is not just showing up, but it's knowing those people, getting to know those people, getting feedback from those people, sharing with those people our ideas, listening to their ideas, hearing their ideas, because there's some damn smart people out there in this industry that don't get that credit. And I really feel like those are the people that we do really well with, because we want them to understand that we understand what they're going through, right? These are typically your people that are working from 4 a.m. until, later in the afternoon. Then you get the second shift and they're working, and these are people working when no one else is around. So we got to make sure that those people understand we're there to service them. And service is, again, it's a broad word, right? It's the relationship. And then when our guys are there, I don't want to call them experts, because I don't think our guys are experts. We're continually working on evolution on our equipment. Our guys are never going to know our machines as good as our vendors. Our vendors come out with these technologies. We have to learn them. Then we implement them. By the time we've implemented it, something new's come out. Doesn't mean you need to buy a new machine. Just means we need to know how to implement that. Well, guess what? Our job as service is to keep them informed of what's coming, keep them informed of when it's going to happen, and when it happens, it's implemented, where they're pushing them to learn it. And if not, we have several pieces of our equipment that we're plugged into via Ethernet connection that we can actually support them from afar. So they don't have to wait for a service person for an hour or 2 hours or a day or weeks. In this case, they don't get hit with, a zone charge and a travel charge, and they don't get hit with, airports and per diem. And no, we sold you a piece of equipment. Yes, we need to make some money on that, right? We've got overhead to cover. I'll just say it guys, we need to stay in business. Like I said earlier, we want you in business. You want us in business. We, for a nominal fee, have service guys that wear tool belts and come out and work on stuff. But the idea is not to get to that stage. It's going to happen. And when it does happen, we need to be able to respond. So service, pick up the phone when it gets called. If you can't be there, call another service guy, get someone there. If he can't be there, we're going to get someone there. But we're on the phone. We're dialed into your machine within minutes. And then we deploy someone if we need to. This often keeps our customers having to spend a dime with us on service. Really, we have service programs, we have service offerings. Those I would love to engage with our customers because I really feel like what a lot of people call that preventative maintenance, I call it a maintenance preventer. We're there to check on things, to make sure that the equipment's in top shape, operating the way it's supposed to operate. And then at that point, you've got the relationship, you've got the latest and greatest technology, you have the service of the people actually being there doing the work. And to me, that encompasses all the service. And then my service guys, service team, service people, they absolutely need to know who those decision makers are and engage with them and build a good relationship. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have a good relationship, then you probably aren't dealing with the right people. Either that customer's doing something wrong or you're doing something wrong. There should never be a differentiator in the understanding of what service is from both sides, because the customer is responsible for it as well.
Can you give me an example or some examples of how what Chandler Automation has to offer has impacted a customer, like some real results that you've seen occur?
To me, is a customer who buys something from us and then comes back to us. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's a success story to me because you've done everything right there. You may have made a mistake. We might have had a piece of equipment that failed, but that customer's come back now. And when they do it a third time and a fourth time and a fifth time, which I think is about 92% of our business, is repeat customers. The other 8%, in my opinion, in my analysis of where we are as a business, those other 8% of people that haven't come back again is because they're either smaller or they're a one-off type person who just bought a piece of equipment from us and didn't need anything else. It doesn't mean they're not coming back. You know, the struggle that a lot of sales organizations or service organizations or any organization for that matter is how to get customers to come back. How do they come back? What are you having to do to get them to come back? And what I'm mostly proud of with our team is we don't have to do a lot to get that. We service the customer. We do installation, we do the startup, we do the training, we do the maintenance, we do the ongoing care, we build the relationships, and we prove to the customer whether a machine is extremely good and never fails, or maybe it's extremely good and had a problem, or maybe we've had something that failed. Did we do what we say we're going to do? We did it. That customer's come back. And so for me, I love marketing. I think it's great. But when you don't have to market to get more business, that says something about the organization you're running. And to me, I feel like we run a pretty damn good organization, Lacey. And we have a ton of repeat customers. And to me, that's a great success story for service.
I'm also curious if you have any metrics to share. Like, we saw a customer have this level of quality or performance and go from another type that was improved.
Yeah, we have several of those type of customers. Again, I'm going to stay unnamed. And if any of the customers are watching this and they do want to go talk to these customers, I'm happy to take you to those particular customers. We did an in-shell line for a company that was significant in size, and it wasn't about replacing the people for them. It was about moving those people into other locations. Because I'm also, as much automation as we do, I'm not a proponent about getting rid of people. We need people, period. You have to have people. You prefer the better people, right? Which is what you want to employ anyway. But we had a customer that was running 24 hours a day, which was 3 shifts, 7 days a week, other than, I believe, Christmas and New Year's Eve. They were producing 4 truckloads a day, and inaccuracies of the weighments of the truck were significant, meaning they gave away a lot of product. We came in, we put in a complete system for them, which was product we were taking from one of their buildings being brought to us via a transport device. That went into rotary scales, which into box makers, into metal detectors, into a robot palletizer. We had such success with that, they wanted to move that similar idea to in-shell. The problem is in in-shell is it's a very volatile market. Today it's $1, then it's $3, then it's nothing. It disappears, right? So when people are spending money on in-shell, they want to make sure it packs off. But what they saw on the box line, they thought if we could do this on the in-shell line, it'd be fabulous. So again, it was fabulous, by the way. I love that word, fabulous. So anyway, we took them from 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, other than Christmas and New Year's Eve off, and 4 truckloads a day to 1 10-hour shift, 10 truckloads a day, and they went from 16 people down to 3. The accuracies on those trucks were not hundreds of pounds over. They were sub 20 pounds over on a truckload. So doubled in a half their output, their throughput. Their quality went through the roof because of better equipment that they were using. Accuracies went through the roof. It was a huge success story. And that particular customer told everybody about it, and it helped us launch our business. So that was a great success story. The reason I mentioned the in-shell and went to the box line is because they knew they had to do something on the box line. They didn't know they had to do something on in-shell. And so that box line, part of that success story was that was so successful that this in-shell line became even more successful because of the volatility of the market. So they could run right away, get it done, pack, and get out before all the competition. So that was cool. Yeah, it was really cool. That was a fun job. Really fun job. Fun install.
Can you walk me through the process, and not just like the tactical process, but your thought process of when you're going to a customer facility, maybe for the first time, to evaluate what they have going on and what they may need and how you can help? Can you walk me through that process?
It's different every time. I don't go in with an idea that I'm going to fix anything. I go in with the idea with an open mind to hear what they really need, what they want to accomplish. So I don't want to force my agenda into what they may or may not need. I want to hear what they need first. And I don't really have an agenda. I think maybe that's what makes us different, is I'm not going in saying, boom, you need to buy this. I talked about it earlier in the podcast here where I'll utilize other pieces of equipment. My job isn't to go in and tell that customer they need to scrap everything and just use my stuff because it's the best and you're going to be perfect. And they might not need all of our stuff. They might need a little bit of our stuff. So I always love to go into it with an open mind and try and, hear them, listen to them, hear them about what their ideas are, talk to them about some of my ideas, because I don't like to share my other customers' ideas. That's not my job. I'm not going to share with X customers Y's process or Z's potential, right? I really want to build something special for them based on what they're capable of doing. And if it means it's a whole new line, then absolutely 100%, I'm going to give them what I think will work best. But if it's not my whole line and they want to use some of my competitors' equipment that's been existing, because quite frankly, this stuff gets expensive. I'm not here to steal people's money. I don't want to take people's money. That's not my job. Again, I said it earlier, I want them in business. They want us in business. And what I want to do is make sure that this company feels comfortable. They trust us. Now, if I go see a piece of equipment that they say, hey, I think this will really work, I would not hesitate to give them my opinion to say, that's not going to work. But if you did it this way, it may work. That might mean eliminating some of our equipment. That might mean they need to add some of their other equipment. So I don't really try and go in with a cookie cutter approach to say, here's the box and this is what you need to fit in. I think that's what makes us unique. I don't like boxes. I really don't. Do I feel there's a place for them? Yeah. But really, I have customers who have dedicated relationships with certain vendors and customers. So really walking you through a process of what is my thought process. My thought process is I want to get in there, see what they really want to have, see what their input is, see what they want to do for an output, and then what can I utilize that's existing in their plant to give them that. Just because they have old equipment doesn't mean it doesn't work. There's some kick-ass old equipment out there that still kicks ass and works. And I want to use it because it works. Now, if they're power struggled and that's a very power-hungry piece of equipment, maybe we have a different communication about that, right? If it's something that's really slow and they're trying to increase their speed, if they don't have 2 or 3 of them to make it keep up with the speed, then maybe we have to talk about that. So again, it's just really looking at what the customer has as an input and what they're looking for on the output, and then providing them a solution that's going to not meet their needs or exceed their need. That's going to meet it. It's going to exceed it, but it's going to work for a very long time. We've got to get 7, 10, 12 years out of these pieces of equipment for these folks because they're expensive. They're really expensive. And again, as I mentioned at the very start of this, interest rates aren't dropping anytime soon. So you want to make sure you keep their pocketbook in mind. You really do. And I think people know that about us. They respect that about us. And if there's equipment that we can't use in that line, I'll help you move that equipment to someone who may need it at zero charge. I don't buy and resell stuff, but I'll take you, Mr. X, and introduce you to Mr. Y. You sell it to them. You keep the money. You just bought a system from me. Why do I need to go take your product, mark it up, and go sell it to some other guy who can't afford anything anyway, which is why he's asking me for used equipment? No, let's help our customers help the industry. Mr. Customer over here, this is Mr. Potential Customer here. If you guys want to make it work. We don't want money for that. I do it all the time. I'm sure I can get 25 customers in here that'll say I've done that. And I feel good about that. Do I lose out on a sale? Yeah, but guess what? I'm not a salesman. It's not my job, man. I'm not a salesman. I want to really help you get better because it helps our people. We got, like I said, we got families to feed, man. And if I can make something better for my customer, they eat better. If I can make something better for us, we eat better. But if we do it all together, we all eat well together. So it's really looking at input, output. It's looking at how I can disposition some of their product that they may have, or equipment to other people to help them gain some of that investment back. Whether I can, find another person over here who could use it and they could whatever it may be. I want to help that. I really, really, really want to help people do that. I feel like, so many of us in this industry, we want to sell something. We want to make money. We want to kill it. We want to, right? Like mine. This is me, my customer. It's not your customer, guy. It's not our customer. They're our customers because all of our vendors have something to do with these customers, right? Let's drop the ego, guys. Let's seriously drop the ego, okay? I understand you think I have a big one, and I do. Don't get me wrong. It's a big ego. I'm a cowboy, okay? But no, from a perspective of our industry, drop the ego. Let's help each other out. It's how we're going to get through this, right? I mean, in my opinion, I'll help my competitors. I don't care if my equipment's not right for that customer. I'll bring in my competitive equipment. And I tell all my vendors, yours wasn't good for this application. Let's help each other succeed out there. Really, let's do it.
It sounds like you really care about what you do.
Oh, absolutely. I care who I'm working with. I care about who I'm working with. I mean, like I said, Lace, we go to their weddings. We barbecue together. We ride motorcycles. We go fishing together. We shoot guns together. We're integrated with our customers. They're not really our customers anyway. I hate that word. Customer is so degrading. Like, oh, this is my customer Butch. This is my customer Tom. This is my customer Hank. It's kind of degrading. I call them friends. So to be truthful with you, I feel like I do business with my friends. And, I hear the term, it's not personal, it's just business. It's personal business is what it is because we get personal with these people. We know their kids. We know their families. Yes, I care. I care deeply about this because at the end of the day, I want when I ride off into the sunset, I'm not taking customers with me. I'm taking friends with me, right? Your customers don't carry you down the line to lay you to rest. Your friends do. Your family does, right? And that's how I feel about these people. They're feeding my family. They're part of my family. So yes, I care deeply. Yes.
What's the word on the street here at the show? What are you hearing a lot about? What's the buzz? Any topics really on people's minds? Any trends you're hearing about? Concerns?
Uniquely for the first time in a long time, not a lot about politics, which is great. Not a lot about what's going wrong in the industry. Not a lot about what's bad. Not a lot about what's negative. It's been a lot of positive things. Optimistic comments about a shift in the energy. Compliments about like how things are getting handled differently in a positive way. A lot of comments about, actually the show and, the attendance of the show, and there's energy again, there's excitement. The guys have been beat up out there. The farmers have been beat up for a few years with many things, not just regulation, not just water, not just power, but all of it. I mean, all of it. Permitting. It's just been a nightmare for them. And for the first time in a while, I'm hearing the growers have a little bit of positive feedback, which I hope is good, because we're not really growing stuff ourselves. Yeah, we got some cows on land, but anyway, we're not growing them. We're giving them water, which, we're pretty lucky. We have water. But no, everything's been positive. And I think there's a big buzz about a lot of the new technology in the industry. Whether it be our competitors or whether it be us, and a lot of buzz about, I think potential growth for some of these guys, new markets that are opening. So yeah, the buzz, it's actually it's a buzz this year. I think it's a buzz, like people are kind of buzzed on stuff and pretty psyched up about what's potentially coming this next couple of years. So that's the buzz.
What does that mean? What could potentially be coming?
From what some of them are telling me, just the potential to get into new markets and do different things with their products, with newer technologies, processing them a different way, with less regulations coming. That more from the growing side. I think from the handler side, it's more technology driven, more efficiencies, and I think overall, just a positive outlook on the high interest rates potentially getting lower because money's expensive right now. And there's some unique things that you and I are talking about financially to support our customers, which I think, stay tuned, could be really cool for some of our customers to continue to keep their cash flow reserves a little higher than actually just going out and spending a ton of money. We can talk about that maybe next episode or when we finalize what we're doing. So, I think overall, they're just excited about new technology, less regulation, better interest rates, and growth for them and outside of our typical industry.
Well, it looks like we have an event starting here. So thank you for spending your valuable time.
What event, Lacey, is starting?
Well, there's a bunch of ladies behind you drinking champagne. It looks like it might be the Women in Tree Nuts event.
Women in Tree Nuts.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. We're a big sponsor of them. If you have a wife or a daughter or a grandmother or any lady who's in agriculture or that has to put up with guys' shit like mine and she puts up with me, have them join Women in Tree Nuts. It's free. They get to drink once in a while. Quarterly, I think you guys meet. Is that what it is?
About 4 events a year.
4 events a year.
Places,
it's all free. There's no garbly-goo. No one's trying to get you to buy anything. It's run by
Ashley
Hollis, who is our general manager and a butt kicker. And she's turned this idea into something special. Hopefully you guys can get a clip of it here behind me because I can't see it. But if you can sign up, do you know the website offhand? Because I don't know what is it?
Women in Tree Nuts.
But is it .com? WomenInTreeNuts.com. Sign up, put your name in there. You'll get once in a while a little email that tells you about what's going on in the industry. And if you come to trade shows and hang out enough at the Chandler Automation booth, you get to drink free champagne. Well, it's not free. We pay for it. But anyway.
Well, I know it's a busy show, so thank you for sharing all that incredible insight and your time.
Thank you for listening to me babble.
I'm used to it.
All right.